And it's true. I mean, I think, Northwest Florida, because you see the beautiful beaches. I mean, people do understand that now more than ever. And like I said, people have been flocking to Northwest Florida over the last 2 years in particular. But you also have some of the more rural areas that maybe not have the coastline. I was in Wakulla County recently, met all these people that had come down from Wisconsin or Minnesota or New York in Wakulla, which is very beautiful. And so you are seeing that really across the board. And Dana pointed out, everything we did to protect people's freedoms, everything we did to protect people's livelihoods and jobs and businesses and our kids' education, we face huge pushback on that from corporate press, from political opponents, all this stuff every step of the way. But, my job as a leader is to accept all that in order to be able to stand up for the people that I represent. And so that's what we did every day. I cared more about their livelihoods, their freedoms, their jobs, and their businesses than I did about getting any negative attention heaped on me. That just comes with the territory. I mean, you understand how this game works, but that was not going to deter me for 1 second for standing up for folks and making sure that they had the ability to earn a living and live as free people in a free state. And so the result is that these numbers are spectacular. I think we're going to have a great 2022. I am very concerned. I mean, you just saw some additional inflation data come out today. Huge inflation because of these policies that we're seeing out of Washington, where they think they can just keep printing trillions of dollars and that somehow you're never going to have any consequence for that. Well, I think we're seeing that there's consequence. And when they did that massive stimulus in March, people were warning Biden. Democrat economists were warning him, you are going to fuel inflation. And that's exactly what happened. So now you have a situation where they say consumer inflation 7.5%. I can tell you it's much higher than 7.5%. How much has gas gone up? How much have groceries gone up? How much have different staples of building and construction and all that gone up? It's all gone up way more than 7.5%. So yeah, as they calculate 7.5%, they're including things that really aren't making much of an impact. They're not including things that have gone up dramatically. And so that inflation is really, really significant, and it eats away at people's incomes. People commute, have to pay more and more for gas. They released the petroleum reserve, strategic reserve. It didn't make a dent. I mean, I think gas now just hit another domestic record over the last however many years. And so the policies out of Washington are hurting the country. Florida, we fought back against Biden on a whole variety of things. I mean, if it were up to Biden, we would have had tens of thousands of people lose their jobs because of these mandates. We stepped in, called a special session. We protected nurses and cops and firefighters and people working in the private sector because it was the right thing to do. Yes, they shortchanged Florida on all this. They cut our medication, so we went out and got more in the summer. That's helped a lot of people with the monoclonal antibody treatment. I mean, I see people every day who were able to get that in Florida, and they said I wouldn't have been able to get that if it were another state. So we've been able to fight back against it. We're going to continue to do it. I think we're going to have a good legislative session. But the fact is, this inflation has really been a self-inflicted wound because of a lot of these federal policies. And had they been more responsible and a little more prudent, we may not be in the situation that we're in right now. So our message is they need to reverse course. They need to embrace better policies because I don't think people are going to be able to handle 7-8% inflation indefinitely. And I think you're going to see it. Now, what we've done in Florida to try to combat it is two things. One, we're working to give a gas tax rebate or gas tax holiday for folks who are suffering under high fuel prices, which will make a difference. It'll be about 25 cents a gallon. And we're working with the legislature on that. But we've also stepped up on our ports, and we're now taking more of these ships that had been stranded off these coasts. And so a lot of the traffic is up 10-15% at some of our key ports. So we're going to continue to do that to help alleviate a lot of the burdens on the supply chain. But a lot of those burdens were inflicted through bad policies that have been done over the last year and a half. You also have more need to have people with jobs inside the supply chain like truck drivers. So we've done a huge expansion of commercial driver's license. We were in Northwest Florida. When were we here when we did that announcement? Were you guys here with us? Yeah, a couple months ago. But we've not only done it here, we've done it in Northeast Florida and in Central Florida, a whole bunch of places, because we need those folks that are going to be able to participate in the economy. People take for granted truck drivers. They take for granted people working at our ports. They take for granted all these things that without which the entire economy kind of just grounds to a halt. So we're supporting those efforts. We have made a difference, but we're one state of many. So, but that inflation is really hurting a lot of people, and it didn't have to be. But nevertheless, we find ourselves here. We're proud of being a place people can come to, and we're proud of what we've been able to do over the last couple years. And I can tell you, those tourism numbers, this part of the state, Northwest Florida, has been a huge engine of all the success we've had. So my hat's off to everyone in the local community here. All right, take a couple questions.